I'm excited for tonight. I think that we're gonna dive into some pretty cool stuff that will build off of each other and will sound simple, but again, just like last week, will probably be challenging when you get down to the brass tacks of it. Like all of the anything that we do is always a challenge when we move forward and put it into progress. Hi, Jen. Me and you are like, me, you, and Ed are buddies. We're gonna be seeing each. You'll get my email tomorrow. We're going into school again. I love
Yeah,
this. I love the energy
so excited.
of it. And I see everybody here has been posting, everybody except for Warren Hamilton. Warren Hamilton, I'm gonna say that you have not succeeded in that challenge this week.
Picking on poor Warren.
Feeding off your post.
Piggyback. The Zoom link says you have another. Oh, we got some tech issues here.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, just driving home from a walkthrough, so I'll be home soon and put the video on.
Everybody's driving. I appreciate everybody jumping on and being committed and like making the time to be here. I know at the end of the days too, it's like, oh, another thing. Rachel, are we all tech good to go?
I think so. We have, I think, one person that's just having trouble joining. So I just resent her the link.
Okay.
We should be good to jump in.
All right, guys, let's let it rip. So, saying before we jumped on that, I've watched all you guys this week and seen you putting yourselves out there. So, give yourselves a big round of applause because it's actually not easy. Sarah and I were talking before the call that it's not as easy as it sounds, and coming up with ideas and, having the courage to step forward is a challenge. So, to piggyback on that, that is the challenge that will continue through all the 4 weeks. So just because we did that the first week, we are going to continue and build on that momentum because we need to build that consistency, right? Like the reps in the gym. So we got to build off of it. The more we build off of it, the more courageous we'll become, the more confident we'll become, and the less we'll care what other people think. And that's a really big bonus.
Mhm.
All right. So who had some challenges this week?
Oh, I did.
Give it to us, Jackie.
So I was gonna make a list and then I didn't get around to it. But like one of the things was, it's a little nerve-wracking. It's fine to put myself out in front of strangers, but people I know is a little tougher, especially family. And I put these videos out and I was so proud of them. And then my sister calls, she's like, "Are you using a filter?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, at first I said, "Why do you ask?" And she goes, "Well, you have no wrinkles." I said, "Well, that's how I look." And she's like, definitely not. And so right away, then I like shrink again, right? I'm like, oh shit, like, are people gonna, judge me for that or whatever? And then I did what you had said, and I put a post on about the job site and working. And then I had an inspector of all people private message me, "Oh, Jackie, you're on site. You're gonna get in trouble if you don't have a hard hat. You don't have this." And I was like, froze again, deleted the post, right? So I was like, oh, I had all this like courage, but it's funny how I let people into my space with, like, I feel vulnerable posting, right? So it was a big holy camole for me. And there was other things, but I'll let other people talk too.
Can I jump in and suggest that that is one of the first ways that we know that it's working? It's first things first. First, they're going to comment and object to it. My brother was actually the same when we started doing all those videos at the beginning of the year, and I had that little fuzzy microphone. My brother's like, "I'm not turning on Instagram anymore. You got that fuzzy microphone." Like, and he's teasing me, and I'm like, "Oh, it's so stupid." And then after him and my sister-in-law were like, "I'm going to get Jason a fuzzy microphone." Oh, we like the videos. So the comments, good or bad, means that it's working, and we just have to like get that resilience, and hopefully we can do that together as a group. And until we build up that resilience, we build it off of each other. You know that you have one, two, we have 10 people here that are cheering you on, and that's all we need. So it is working, good or bad.
Can I also jump in too and
Yeah.
just say I completely agree with everything Jennifer just said. And then on top of that too, take it as this is an area then again that people, whether they're jealous or whatever it may be, that you're like, okay, I'm gonna take this instead of it being that they're bashing me down. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna learn from it and grow. And these are all areas that will help you just expand and be better in future, right? So
Yeah.
don't see it as a negative per se, but definitely grow from it. I know
I
it's
definitely had
easier
that
said than done.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I know that's easier said than done, but I definitely think if you have the mentality of being like, okay, at first that was a punch in the face, but if I step back and actually look at it, be like, okay, well, this person is saying, yeah, I don't have a hard hat, but you know what? They may actually be caring about me. Or if someone else says, hey, filter, whatever, it just be like, okay, they want me, they want to see my natural beauty, or they want to see me being authentic, right? And just taking it as more um yeah, I don't know, just more help than a knockdown.
And in contrast, I agree with everything like that. My other side is like, no, I made you look.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's part of it, right? Like as we go forward into all of our businesses and grow, and it is the resilience. It is the resilience to go forward and the courage to move forward despite what other people think. And that's it's a human nature. It's in every single one of us, like no matter what we do, our natural, we have one side of our head that's like, don't do that, you're going to look silly. See, and we have things in the world that will verify that voice. But then there's the other side, and we need to look for the things on that side that verify the good in it. So it's just building up the resiliency to march forward, march forward. Um, I'm excited to dive into my portion before Rachael really digs into the marketing, which is the exciting part. And I'm more, looking at, we're going to talk a lot about the courage and figuring out who we are and having the courage to show up as exactly that. Because no matter what you're selling, if you're in contracting, if you're selling, DJ systems, product, whatever that is, we have to figure out who we are and what our mission is. And I'm a geek. I told you that last week. And so this week we're going to reference Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. So I read a book back in 2017 when I started just my small real estate team, and it literally changed the scope of everything. It changed the scope of how I showed up in my team, the work that I'm going to challenge us to do. It changed the scope and how I communicated with my husband. And it's going to get us down to brass tacks, and it's going to chisel out who we are and drive out the mission going forward. Because once we figure that out and we have a clear mission, everything else becomes noise. It's going to be easier to do the things that we want to do because we're going to be leaning into values. So in this book, the work is that we have to figure out what our values are. So I'm going to send out a value sheet to everybody, and there's probably 85 to 90 values on there. And we're naturally going to feel compelled that we want to pick like 15 or 20 of them. Like, I value family, I value success, I value this. But the challenge is going to be that we have to do some investigation and whittle that down to two operating values. And it's very natural. You can start off the work and do 10 to 15, but I want you to whittle it down. And when you're looking at some of these, I didn't have it earmarked. I want to keep cognizant that some of the values really lean into each other. right? So I really value integrity. For me to be integrous, it challenges me to be courageous, so in tune, I end up valuing that. But we have to lean into that and have that as our operating principle. And to further it, I would challenge you to sit down with somebody that you trust, know, and like, and have a conversation around it. It's going to change the way that you feel and see yourself. And once we have that driven down, it's going to give us an operating system on how we operate our whole life. So we can't live into values that we don't name, right? And very rarely, everybody's like, yeah, I operate off principles and values. But if somebody said to you, what are they? What would you do? You're like, well, I'm honest. I'm honest. But we have to get down to that word and what that means for you. And so when we start leaning into that, we will start to move and operate for that. And there's no difference between professional or personal values. We can't work on two separate lines of alignment, right? So we're going to figure out and drive who we are. We can't shift our values. And Jim Collins stated that if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So this works all in our business operating too, right? So we're going to whittle down who we are, how we operate, and how that affects how we move forward. And it's going to change the things that we'll say yes to, the things we will say no to. And when we're saying no to things that are outside of our values, it doesn't feel bad. We're moving forward. And then we become magnets and start attracting more of what we want, right? Because when we're operating business and building business, we want to do business with people that are attracted to us, right? We want volunteers, not hostages, right? We don't want, I see a lot of businesses operate and, they'll do a pity post. And I'm like, that is like a no-fly zone for me. We're going to operate out of values. And that to me is not a virtuous thing to do. So when you're doing these and doing that work, which is our homework from my end, not Rachel's, the words need to resonate with you and fill you with purpose. When I look at that and I'm like, I really value team, right? And then I start operating out of that. How do I show up in my team? How do I show up? How do I show that I value that, and build off of that? So it needs to resonate with purpose, and you need purpose to drive your mission. And we all have a mission, right? And figuring out what our mission is. So whether you're in real estate sales or photography, whatever that purpose is, we need it to be clear, and then we can start driving on our mission. And then when we're clear in our mission, everything starts to move forward. We build the engine while we fly. Sound good?
Woohoo.
And then before we jump over into that marketing, on that marketing message, but when we're looking at the values, discovering our mission, I believe that our consumers or whatever we're doing, people need to experience you. They need to have an experience of what it will be like around you. So looking at that messaging we're sending out, what's the experience around that? And they should have that experience prior to ever meeting you if you've done your job marketing. Like Rachel's like,
I love that piece.
people move the business, emotions move people. So we need to move the people. We need to move them through what the experience will be like. They need to experience you. And once we are solid in that value system, then we really get to step into who we fully are and have the courage and the confidence to build the business and the life that we want. I'm a big, big, big proponent that your business life will only ever max out at where your personal development is. So you have to have the capacity to grow, and that capacity, if you put all of your energy just focusing in on that personal work, the ideas are going to flow, the people are going to show up, you will start magnetizing it. So I know that this sounds like a little off from business, but it's a core philosophy. You have to drive into you. And from there, I'm going to let Rachael let it rip with marketing. I'll send you guys your homework.
Thank you, Jen. That was amazing. We actually had Matt Leonetti in yesterday, and if you haven't seen him online before, he is this amazing creative realtor, but also like a cinematographer, like a video creator. And one of the things that he said was that the greatest compliment to him was that when people met him, that they felt like they knew him. And I feel like that's
Just walk out and talk to talk anyone from you. They're still in
I'm just gonna
business.
mute you, Heather, there. Hope that's okay. There we go. I think that that's really the goal, is that we want people to feel like they know us before they work with us, especially as service-based businesses. Product-based businesses have a personality as well, especially if you're the face of the brand. And yeah, so I think that's a perfect thing to dive in on. Um, so I want to start just to say, Jen sent me this really interesting slide a couple of weeks ago, and it was talking about how the advantage that we have as small business owners right now. And do you know what that advantage that small business owners have over big businesses right now? Does anybody know what that is?
I do.
Jen knows. Can you guess what it is? It's kind of wild. No? You can throw it in the chat. I'll share. So it basically, for years, small businesses have been trying to look kind of bigger than they are. And we've been doing that. Like, I knew I did it when I started my business. I wanted to look kind of like this. Like, I was working out of my living room, like, but I wanted to look like super professional and like I was this big business. And the weird thing is, big businesses are trying to look a lot smaller. Oh, don't worry about it, Heather. Big businesses are trying to look smaller than what they are. I was thinking about, does anyone remember like when Loblaws had that big thing happen and they had Galen Weston, the CEO, he kind of was doing all the commercials for Loblaws because he looked like kind of a regular guy. And does anyone remember that? He
Yeah.
was doing all the blue menu commercials and everything, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just a cool guy." And it was interesting because we have that ability already. We're regular people, we're doing our thing. And he's, like a millionaire, billionaire. I don't know how wealthy this guy is, but they wanted him as the face of this huge corporation in Canada because there was something missing from it's a high-end grocery store, sure, but they still wanted to have that human piece in it that it was lacking. And these people have like millions of dollars to merchandise, make things, perfect. And we have that ability that they still can't do. So I'm going to share like a little story here. And I don't know if many of you know this, but before I was a photographer and before I started working for Jen, I used to work in Toronto for like a brief period for a commercial production company. And we made like commercials for like big national brands and things like that. And it was kind of like Mad Men, like, but not actually like Mad Men, but that's kind of like what we did. So we were the production company, but we'd have like all of I don't know, the big, marketing firms come in, ad agencies. And these are like huge creative teams that would like come in, and one of our clients was the Bay. They'd plan out their big brands for like the Christmas time was their big time. So they'd start planning this out like early on in the year. So the ad agency would come in, oh, like January, like they already started planning for Christmas. They would have the storyboard made out for the ads. They're spending all this money. These people are coming in, having lunches, doing all of this planning. I'd be the one serving coffee. That's all I did. And they were doing storyboards. They even made an animation of the commercials before they actually filmed it because it was so expensive to film. So they would animate it first at our office. They would send that out, get approval, and they would test it. And then when it was approved, then they'd actually film the ad, and we did all the filming and everything. We'd rent all these sound stages in Toronto. And then after that, we edited the ad, and then it went to actually then they had to actually pay for the ad spots. So, like, when it was all said and done, the cost on this was like astronomical. But even despite all of that, some of these ads still kind of flopped. That's the part that, like, we don't realize that they were just throwing money at these projects. And it wasn't ever a guarantee that any of our ideas were bringing in new clients. I don't know the state of the Bay, but I don't think it's good. Like, I believe they've closed, So what kind of struck me is that we have this ability as like small businesses to move really, really quickly. We don't have to start planning our campaigns in January. We can start now. We don't have to go through, all these testing phases, these animatics. We can literally do everything with our phone if we want to record things. And if something flops, we can delete it if we want to, or we can just leave it. Or if something works, we can double down and take the stats that we get and reproduce that. So the reason why I'm telling you this is not just to like talk about the Bay and stuff like that, but I just want you to keep in mind that marketing doesn't have to be like this big perfect thing. It was for many years, but we have all of these tools available to us now that we can just try things on the ground and see what happens. And if we can get past that, like how we feel about putting ourselves out there piece, which is really the hardest part, the rest of it can be fun, creative, and it allows us to get immediate feedback. Whereas even the Bay, they were waiting months to find out, like, did that work? What are our numbers? There's like shareholders. We have so much flexibility. So, and that's to me a superpower. So I've put together a framework that I think we should start with and I promised I wasn't going to do slides, but I want to do one quick slide because I feel like I feel like this is really good information because it just kind of lets us, let's see here. Maybe I'm not doing the slide because I might not be able to pull it up. Here we go. Oh, no, I can't. Okay. So I want to talk about just the different types of marketing that we can do. I touched on just like obviously big campaigns, like, Super Bowl ads would be like today's equivalent of that. But there's a million different types of marketing, and I think a lot of us immediately think of social media. But at the end of the day, there's all sorts of other types of marketing that we can try. I'll just kind of list off a few, but obviously, like we've got digital marketing, SEO, email campaigns, influencer marketing, like all of that sort of stuff. And then, you know, I hear a lot from realtors, a lot of print marketing, billboards and stuff to some degree, but people send out like flyers, things like that. But the two that, to me, the number one that doesn't get enough attention is networking and word of mouth marketing. And it's a totally like unique thing that's kind of, it's a nuanced thing that I feel like should be the first step in your marketing strategy. And when I started my business, actually, my sister who's here, we had our newborn photography business, and we immediately saw that we knew we wanted to link up with a baby store because it makes perfect sense that a newborn photographer would have a relationship with a baby store. So we there was no baby store in Woodstock at that time, but we saw this sign go up and we were like ready to pounce because we were like, oh my goodness. But we had to kind of hide our enthusiasm because the biggest mistake people kind of make with that network, kind of like networking marketing, is they ask a lot from other people rather than give. So I want you to think about the power of like aligning with other local businesses, but you should always be coming from a place of generosity. Co-hosting events and things like that is wonderful, but you always kind of have to think of it as what can I give to them? So in the case it was a baby store in town, we started just kind of showing up and like hanging out at the store. So, we were learning, figuring things out, but we built this relationship with the owner. We had all these questions for her. We wanted to know how she was doing, how we could support her. And I think we ended up offering her, like, hey, can we do a blog post about your business and share it with our audience? So that was like the first thing we offered to her. And we just kept giving her free stuff. Like we were like very excited. So we came in and did photos, posted it on a blog. I'm not recommending blogging or anything, not that it's bad, but you can kind of see how simple it would be for as a business owner to share on your Instagram, some sort of like a highlight about your favorite store, your favorite restaurant, like ask them if it's okay, make that personal connection first. Like, is it okay if I take a video of your store and share it with my audience? Kind of letting them know that you're doing that. They'll be like, yeah, what do you want? Like, you can be like, just want to share, like, just want to support the community. It's that James Kloss did a similar thing with us, the mortgage broker, like sharing our things, that kind of a thing. Um, we've talked a bit about like being generous on Google, leaving Google reviews, commenting on local businesses. Basically, the goal with this is you want to show yourself, whatever business you're in, as a connector in the community. So that's the main goal. And I feel like all marketing is amazing, but if you can be a connector in the community first, especially if you're working in these smaller communities, your marketing efforts are going to resonate a lot better. You're going to feel really good about the kind of work you're doing. And it also takes that ick factor out of it, of you feeling like you're promoting yourself. You shouldn't feel ick factor about that, by the way, but a lot of people do. And this is a great way to kind of hide behind the generosity of supporting others. This was an easy one for me as someone who isn't somebody that likes to be on camera. It was a great way to kind of get into the feel of that. So I feel like as part of your, yes, Jen.
I just want to jump on that with my geek note, the book Influence, where one of the powers of influence is reciprocity. So instead of, just giving to, you tell them or ask somebody for a favor. Would you mind if I filmed in here? I want to build your business and I want to build my business as well. And so when you're asking, it's influence, the spirit of reciprocity. So I'll add that to our book list.
I love that. So that's so interesting, the reciprocity thing. I love that. And it's such a great content format too, which we'll get into that. Um, does anybody have any questions about that? About expanding your network and community marketing? Has anyone tried it before? No, it's such an easy one. And we've been, I think we've become a little disconnected from it. So you will stand out so well if you just, there's another book Gary Vee wrote, and honestly, I haven't read it, but it's, but the message is, it's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And basically the message is that you give, and build that community. So the second piece of the framework is I want you to choose your platform and you want to go all in on it. So the reason why I wanted to show you the marketing bubbles is because there's so many different types of marketing. The big reason why it's important to pick something that you can afford to do consistently is because marketing does take time to be effective. So what I found is if you can go all in on one type of marketing, you're better able to measure the impact of the marketing. It's the cheapest and fastest way to do it as well because you're not putting all of your attention across many different things. So I do tend to recommend social media second. And I think it's just such like a great opportunity to get your face out there and for people to have the benefit of those parasocial relationships with you, where they really feel like they get to know you before they even meet you. And it just breaks down walls and barriers with people before you even get on a sales call or, before they even go to your website. It gives them that warm up period with you. So social media is the cheapest and fastest way. I always recommend Instagram. I've polled a few people. I think it's good to try different things, but if it would me and I was starting over from nothing, I would definitely pick Instagram and Facebook too. I kind of think of them as the same platform to start. And I would grow my account with Reels. And I would definitely recommend talking head style reels where you're talking to the camera. And this makes everybody afraid, I know. But I've seen it with what we've done on the Gale Group page. I've seen it with my own business. The minute you start putting your face out there and literally talking to your audience, the impact is huge. And it can feel very challenging for some people at first, but the efforts are so worth it. Even lately, my account was pretty much a dead account because I hadn't posted since last year. And just a couple weeks of posting regularly, I've been getting DMs, I've been getting engagement. The views are creeping. My views aren't even that high, but I'm still getting a lot of engagement. And that's the other thing to remember too is you might get discouraged by low views, things like that. It's that commitment. You have to give it a long time and remember that there's a lot happening behind the scenes that you're not even seeing. And we're not here to go viral. Like going viral is probably fine, but I have a story about that. A friend of mine didn't go viral, but she ended up with, she was like mini viral, I guess you'd say. She's like a micro influencer. And she had like 10,000 followers on Instagram. It wasn't like anything wild, but what she was finding was that her account had very poor engagement. So she ended up scrapping her entire account. This is a person that's been in business for a long time, had a healthy business in the Niagara area. And she ended up deleting well, not deleting it, but just scrapping it, moving over to a brand new Instagram account. She only has 1,100 followers now, and she doubled her income after making that change because the followers were engaged and they wanted to be there. They were interested. She's also a newborn photographer, so she had that life cycle that we have where clients are going through different phases. It depends on your business, but she actually had more business after she got rid of her old account. So I just want you to not get too caught up in the numbers and things like that when you're creating content. So I am going to share with you a little way to kind of get things moving a little later on. I have a very effective contest framework basically a giveaway that has worked wonders for me. I've given the script to other people. It has worked wonders for them. So I'll share that with you when we're done. And I want you to think about hyper local content is performing well. So anything that mentions the city that you're in, the area that you're in. Especially if you say that at the beginning of your reel and you have some sort of a visual that shows where you are. And talking head content does really well too, as service-based businesses. So can anyone share with me, like, have you done any of these sorts? I know, Jackie, I've seen you do some talking head type content where you're speaking directly to the camera. Has anyone else tried it or would like to try it? Jen, did you do one? I feel like you did.
I don't know what talking head is. If you mean like talking right here, yes.
I
Today.
know you have.
Oh, I thought you were
The
talking to
other
me.
Jen,
I'm
I'm
like,
not
what
sure,
is
Jen,
talking
it's
head?
Lemke, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think I
did.
saw one with you in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did one yesterday after
Yes.
I was inspired from Matt's presentation, and yeah, so I did one on my back deck yesterday, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something since, well, Ed and I are both starting our program. I don't know if anyone else is
Yes.
here starting our Realty program next Wednesday. I thought I'm gonna do something like every day and just kind of bring people along that journey. So yeah, that was fun.
And did you find it challenging or anything like that, or was it a little easier than you thought it would be?
I'm gonna be honest, like when Jackie was talking, one of the things that came to my mind was like, I started building my business online 10 years ago, and 10 years ago, I was probably really nervous to put myself out there. But one thing that really came to me as you were sharing, Jackie, if you're still here, oh, there you are. Hi. Was just that I found when I first started sharing on social media, I had a lot more pushback at the beginning, and I don't have any pushback now. And I think it has more to do with just the fact that when you keep showing up and showing up and showing up, people not only do they sense like your confidence in where you are, but now they're expecting you. Like it's
Yes.
not like they're seeing you and judging you, or maybe they're judging you, they're probably judging you, but it's like they know you're coming.
Yeah.
And they're not going to say really anything at that point, unless it's encouraging because now you've
Mm.
inspired them, because now you're the one that's like still going. You know what I
And
mean?
you're building trust and loyalty because they know that they can count on you to be there every day at the same time. And yeah, it's so true. Jen.
Do you
Jen,
want to jump in on that audience too? Like you touched on it, Matt Leonetti touched on it, John Cheplack touched on it too. So in those communities, on your Facebook page, even if it's your personal page, transfer that over into a professional mode. It doesn't change anything, but you're going to be able to measure and literally look at your audience. So, this week alone, we had 280,000 views. Nobody is liking or anything really. If I looked at my likes and stuff, it looks like dismal, but people are looking at that. So when I look at that, even when we wake up in the morning, we have an attention deficit, like we're an attention currency. So you have 3 to 5 seconds to get the attention of an audience. And even if it's only 300 people looking at that, like Matt said yesterday, I dare you to go and step in front of a room of 300 people and start talking. You will have a hard time, right? So it's bigger than what you think. And if you have, a lot of friends or followers, that's a very big audience, and you have the opportunity to they're only looking for a second anyway. So you need to make sure that you're there, you're there, you're there. Choke on your face style.
100%. We've said that a few times around the office. Uh, yeah, I completely agree. And the effective way to get the attention in that first 3 to 5 seconds is your face, but also a really clever hook. Would everyone like it if I shared some hooks with them? I've got a great document. I collect hooks because when I see a good one, I write it down. I have a big Google Doc, so I will share that with everyone after the call. There's like hundreds of them on there. Don't get too worried about what you're going to talk about either. Sometimes I find you can do it one of two ways. Um, the big thing is, like Jen talks about, knowing who you are, knowing what your values are, knowing how you're going to serve your clients. Think about the way you want them to feel, and that's a big key component of it. Um, for my audience, I knew I wanted them to feel like heard, seen, understood. I think that's pretty universal, but say you sell candles, you want your audience to feel, it might depend on the candle, but calm, relaxed. Think about kind of where they're at with your product. And you can go a little bit further than that, showing how to use things, answer common questions that your clients have, and talk about those things. Um, that positions you as an expert. It also allows people to connect with you more. And another one that I really like to do is if you see people leave comments, you can dispel myths. You can just take a little screenshot of that comment, put it above you talking, and answer that question, dispel that myth, um, reply back with a video rather than replying back with a comment. It's a great way. Some people even call out their trolls like that. And honestly, if that fits your brand, I say do it. Like people like have something to say, just do a video responding to it. And the people that back you up are going to find that funny and entertaining. So I did that once. People wanted to know like why I have very neutral color to my photography, and someone was like, "Where's the color?" And I was like, "Well, here's why." And I explained it out, and it's an opportunity to reply. So, but yeah, I challenge everyone to try. I think a talking head reel a day is incredible. I see the looks. Christine, you look terrified. I really think that this is like adding fuel to your business like no other doing this. I promise you, doing this daily and getting in front of your audience like this, it's gonna just take people will stop you in the street. It's wild. I want everyone to try it. I would like you to try it every day, but I think I'm pushing you too hard. Is it possible to get 3 talking head reels out this week? Is that too much homework, Jen?
I was gonna say you could couple it with that value works because that's a really
Yeah.
good thing to share with your audience.
I love that.
Working here through this, and then you're going to like it will be challenging. You can do a little quick video like there's so many like discovering who this is, and then okay, I whittled it down, and this is why, and this is my second one, and then you have 3 talking head reels, which will feel woo. But
You'll feel good
it will
afterward.
engage people, that will open the conversation because if I see like, hey, Katrina, like, yeah, no, I really resonate. Like when you said that you love loyalty, and I feel like that. And then we're drawing in and then going, anything that we have moving forward will be easy conversation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good framework for homework. We're going to discover our value and then we can talk about each one. It's a good way to let people know who you are.
And you can break it up into 2 reels if you want for each of your values and make it spread it
You
out
could do
over
it
2 days.
3. This one, like, man, we got this homework. This is terrible. They're forcing me to do this, but here I am showing up. So everybody give me a round of applause and then go further. You can talk about things sucking online too, because other people feel the same way. We're all humans. We all think we're not all the same, but we all have those feelings.
People love it. They love to gripe. You can also, for the record, you can do the simple stuff like behind the scenes, workday, all of those sorts of posts do really well. But talking heads, it's like dynamite. You will never, yeah. There's people that literally their entire, like these are US TikTok creators that are making money off their videos alone. That's all they do. They just get on camera, hot take. We're not doing hot takes, maybe a few, but we're adding value. We're thinking about our client's perspective. So, my quick recipe on how to do that, I'm going to walk you through it. This is going to make it quick and easy for you. So, you're going to grab your phone. You're going to install ChatGPT if you don't already have it. You're going to go into ChatGPT and you're just going to click on the microphone. Does everybody here use ChatGPT on their phone and talk into it like I'm going to use a nerdy Star Trek reference, like it's the ship's computer? Yep. So you might have to turn the setting on your phone. But when I send you your list of hooks, you're going to look at those hooks and you're going to say to ChatGPT, hey, I want to make a reel script, keep it under a minute long, and I want you to use the hook, blah, 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 and it's going to be about this topic. Oh, Jen's raising her hand.
Okay, so my chat GPT just picked up on what you said.
Oh,
Said it's like a ship's computer. Got it. Phase 1 systems check-in. So, Captain, report on your last mission. What action did you take after last week? Because I took our course and did it like that.
there's no way I could alienate myself more than make Star Trek references, but I'm gonna keep on doing it. Uh, so, has anyone ever tried this before? No, I promise you, you will get a reel done in 30 minutes. Because then you're going to take that, it's going to spit out a script for you, and you can either pop the script into the teleprompter on your CapCut app, or you can print it off and read it and record it in chunks and just talk right to the camera. And then,
Oh,
Katrina.
sorry. I was going to say I've done that. So I've used ChatGPT. So I'm terrible with my own business, but with my clients, I work a lot of their socials as well.
Yep.
So I don't actually do like videos or stuff like that, but I'll do reels with pictures and videos from
Yes.
their stuff, and then I'll get chat to write a little thing at
Caption.
the bottom, right? Like a little caption. Yeah.
I do
And
that
so
all the
I've done
time.
that lots. And then I've been like, okay, personalize it or do this or market
Yep.
this, right? So I have
And
done
the
that,
cool
but I've never
thing is
done
when
it.
you put it into CapCut, you can just put the body of text in there and it'll break it up for you over the video. So each of the captions comes up for you and you don't even have to talk. I want you guys to talk though.
I mean,
Because
I
I
know.
really want you to be the face of your brand and try to put yourself out there, because that's going to cause your business to grow quicker. But if you are just getting content out, and I do that a lot for Gale Group, we'll have what we're going to say. You do have to go in and tweak it. You can't just copy and paste it,
Exactly.
which I'm sure you found, because it's not always you don't want it to sound like ChatGPT, because rocket ships and graphs and all the M dashes that it does, we want to get those out of there. You can even Google clues that it's been written by AI and kind of look for those things, because people talk about it a lot, but it's such a quick way to get a script out, and it takes a lot of that emotional labor off of your brain if you're just trying to get this done, and you're going to change those pieces anyway. So getting kind of a flow to it, a beginning, middle, and end of your story really, really helps. And you can get one of those done in half an hour. You barely have to edit it. One thing I will say is when you've done this, you're going to put captions on it. Always caption your videos and lead with a good hook. So start with that. I don't want to start throwing other ideas at you because I get excited, but the hook part, you can really get creative with visual hooks and all sorts of things. But start with this, see how you feel and how you make out with it. And if this is old hat, Jen Lemke, it sounds like this is old hat for you. Challenge yourself to do a creative visual hook that is something a little bit different. I've seen a lot of them, they'll do like a Snapchat kind of like text over it, different things like that you can try. But get creative, think about how you can really get people's attention. Some people do, they'll whip the camera around and all sorts of stuff. But and then in terms of content, to think about what you're going to say, just get that list of questions, the frequently asked questions that you get all the time from your clients, and just start by answering those questions. Think about, like Jen said, the value piece. What are your values as your business owner? So take all of those ideas and you'll actually have more than enough content. Can you please send us a reel with a hook and captions for an example? Yes, I'll send some of those over to you. Some examples. I'll add that to our hook sheet as well. The good ones you're seeing because they get pushed up. So if you just scroll on Instagram, you'll know it when you see it. I save them. How many people here have a million things saved on Instagram that they plan to go back to and they never go back to?
I think I'm just confused at what you mean by like, and I know that may sound very simple, but
Oh, no.
I'm pretty like green when it comes to all this stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like,
No
oh, put a
question is
hook and put a
simple.
caption. I'm like, where? What do you mean? Like, so
Oh,
that's why I want kind of an example of what you're speaking of. Yeah.
absolutely. So, a lot of times people watch videos on silent in their room with their kids, or they're at work, they're scrolling their phone when they shouldn't be. If you put closed, like basically it's closed captions, you can add that in CapCut or whatever editor that you're using to make your videos. Instagram has it natively in their app. You just add captions on the bottom, and that gives you a bit of an advantage because people will read the text a lot of times before they turn up the volume on their phone. So then they might stop the scroll if you say something of interest to them. So it's a good idea to put it on every single video that you do. Plus, it's just good for accessibilities. What about messing with trial reels? I think trial reels are, that's a whole other can of worms, but I do think that it's something that we should explore. It's kind of a separate strategy to reels in general, but I can go over that if you'd like.
I
Deck
do have some that's a little like before the trial reels where it has everybody should have your Google business. I don't know if we've
Mhm.
talked about that. Google business is your heavyweight champion. That's your number one resource. It's free. If you don't have it, happy to jump on a separate call and walk through that with you. But one of the things that most people do not do in their Google business is it's there and it has questions. And so if you go into that questions and just ask, what do I need as a first-time home buyer? You ask that question. Oh, buying your first home in Oxford County or a new build construction, whatever you want to do, and be asked all those questions. And what will happen is you're going to naturally start ranking higher for real estate because you have those keywords and it's like your own built-in SEO. But the question answer part on Google Business, imperative, game changing.
Old. Yeah.
And that's easy. That's easy also like whatever your most frequently asked questions, but spend some time in there in that free space. And it doesn't sound as, I hear things myself, like we're doing a lot of stuff, but when I hear CapCut and captions, I'm like, I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know what that is. But for
I
me,
can
that's
definitely
low
sense
hanging fruit. Google Business, I can manually do and manipulate that here, and it's easy for me. So I would jump into that space equally as important at the same time as your socials.
and you can use some of those questions as inspiration to do videos and answer those questions. You can kind of like basically do like a double duty content thing, and it's double the one question, double the content, which is
Hey
nice.
Rachel,
Yeah.
what would you recommend as like a good app or two to make your like reels, your like there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's all the little filters and that, you know, they're not easy to use, but I know once if a 14-year-old can figure it out, I should be able to figure it out. But
Why do
I
we
don't
make
want
it
to
look
have them
so
all. And
easy?
I want to be doing it in the easiest way possible and not throw my phone across the room.
It doesn't matter. But I use CapCut.
Okay.
CapCut is paid. I liked it because it has a teleprompter in it, and I'm not a queen like Jennifer Gale, and I'm not good at thinking on my feet when it comes to like reading stuff. So I like having the option. So that's something you can use.
Does it give you the video or reel templates and can make those cool, you know, the transitions, the all these
Yeah,
things that
I
the
don't
young
love
people are
those
doing?
though. I
You
think
don't
it'll
want
work.
those.
No, I
I
think they
know.
look too, I think we're used to seeing those now, and
Okay.
we tend to scroll away. I think it's doesn't, I don't know.
Okay.
I find they don't get as, I don't know though. It's not to say that it doesn't work. Sometimes they do, and it could be a matter of taste as well. But I think you have to think about what works with your brand. I find simple is always better, and
Okay.
you don't really even need a lot of cuts in your videos. Honestly, like talking head videos, you can do those in one take or a couple of different takes.
That's to be honest, that's what I'm avoiding is the talking head.
For
Just
you,
kidding you. I
Sarah,
really just don't want to
my
do it.
inspo for you, I would recommend, I think I messaged you about this, is putting your camera up while you're filling orders and
Mhm.
recording you working.
Yeah.
I think it's such a great thing for people to see. It also shows the end result for the person receiving the product,
Hmm.
making them look pretty, getting ready for a package. I know we're about integrity here, but if you have to pack a few fake orders a few times, just
Oh,
to get the
totally.
ball rolling,
Yeah.
just do it. I know I did welcome boxes sometimes when I didn't have clients lined up. I was like trying to manifest clients. I'd make a welcome box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
For
you
sure.
have to do what you have to do to get your content out, but I think that would be a good option. I think you should do a talking head though. You can talk about the story of how you started your business. Don't be afraid to get personal. what it brings to you and how what that brings to you can bring to your clients. Like this space is something that I do to decompress after. I don't know if this is why you started your business, but I'm just free balling here. But yeah, it brings me a lot of joy to create for people. And then you can talk about how you want to bring people something similar. Just kind of dive into it, work on those pieces that Jen talked about, and think about how you're impacting people with your products.
Okay.
I know it's
I'll
a big
try.
tall thing, but I know you can do it. I feel very excited about it actually.
Okay.
Jackie, ask away.
I have a question. So in regards to, I watch your guys' stuff, and a lot of times you're doing a video and then you do this like personal, 2 to 5 line explanation in writing. So not
Yeah.
captions, but in writing. And that's awesome. That's a vulnerable space for me. Like I can do the talking's fine, but then you want me to write up, which is good. I'll do it. Don't worry. But the point being is like, are you finding that part really important? Because I noticed in your stuff, you're not just doing your talking heads, you're doing talking heads plus.
I'm doing the caption too.
Well,
Yeah.
and I thought it was more than a caption. Like, it's not just like you guys are doing like an explanation of the talking,
Oh yeah, we are. We
you
are.
know? Yeah.
I get a lot of help from ChatGPT with that stuff, but I do dictate kind of what I want it to say. The cool thing about ChatGPT is you can kind of think of it as like a personal assistant. A lot of people are using it to create content from zero. I tell it what I want it to say, but it puts it together a little bit neater, and then you can kind of delete some of the stuff that makes it look like AI and fluff it. But I take the content. So say you were recording about a reel about sellers, what you can do to find a real estate agent that works well with you. I'm just kind of pulling stuff up here. But you can talk into ChatGPT, like explain everything that happened in the reel, and then it will actually create a caption for you and then put your call to action in there, what you want them to do. You can say like add a call to action at the end, which would be giving you a call, reaching out, however you want to direct them. And that's where it can kind of be a helpful tool and also prevent you from like typing with your little thumbs the whole time trying to get that in there, which I find very tedious and don't like doing. I find the Notes app really helpful for that as well. Sometimes I'll save little bits in my Notes app, copy and paste that over just so that I can get more content out quickly. So,
And what's your perspective on call to action? Because I've been in other groups where it was like every single thing is a call to action, but I'm not necessarily seeing like
hmm.
always calling to action. And so, what's your thoughts and perspectives on that?
I think it's always wise to have a call to action. But I know what you're saying.
Like,
I
I feel it more like your stuff. I like it. Like I like not feeling like I'm always supposed to call you or text you or get more
but
information from you.
we do always say that somewhere in the content. I think the difference is
Not at the end.
we're providing value for the majority of the piece of content. So my goal is to only do about 10% of selling a month on our 10% of what we put out is selling. I'd say 10 to 20%. The rest of the 80%, like the 80-20 rule, the rest of the 80% is value, but we still put a little call to action on the end anyway. So we're making sure that when we're creating a piece of content, we're we're solving a problem for our ideal client. But then at the end, we can say, if you want more helpful tips like this, do this. It might not be call and sell me and help me if you want me to list your house, whatever.
I think
Um,
so too, like where maybe you're seeing that divide. It looks like we have a lot of stuff because we got Gale Group and then we got like my personal one and they're coming at you. And so my personal one, although it's a little bit business, it is more often a story without saying, like just because I'm trying to give you like my job is I want to recruit agents. I want to build my brokerage. So what my mission is, I want to create the experience, like have you experience me before you meet me? What would I be like as a leader? How do I show up? So there's not really a call to action in that marketing. It's more of an attraction, right? I want to keep you with me, follow through the journey. And if you're interested, you'll see that content. And if you're not, then you got me on snooze or come back. So that difference. And then every once in a while on my personal page, like for events, but it's always send me a DM, but it's always if I'm only offering something of value. Real estate school, send me a DM. Interested in brain to business, shoot me a DM, but it's never like, want to buy or sell real estate, call me. So for realtors or any business, you can create action pieces like click here for 10 tips to avoid as a home buyer, and just offering value to your audience without asking them for anything. We want to provide value and have them buy in, and then later they'll call us because we provided value. Some of the real estate stuff on our other pages, we have to because it's like new listing, call me, blah, 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 but that's the stuff that gets tired, right?
Mm-hmm. That's actually my third part of the framework is you need to have a place for people to land, and you need to have like having something to invite people to is really, really good marketing. You should always have something in your business, and it doesn't have to be like an event. It can be like an Instagram live. I had a friend who she'd do an Instagram live once a week just so she could invite people to it, and she'd solve problems and help people on that live. A lot of people do community events. That's like another good with community networking. It's actually a really good one for if you want to network with other businesses on Instagram and share your followers, things like that. But it's true. So it's call to action doesn't have to be the sale. It can just be another value piece.
I'm giving giveaway spirit of reciprocity. We're giving you stuff all the time. I'm gonna give you something all the time. I can't believe we're at 8 o'clock already.
I know.
Does everybody feel like you drank out of a fire hose again? Does everybody feel good with their homework for this week?
It's okay to say no.
It can suck and still do it
And
anyway.
still do it anyway.
What Warren always tells me, he's like, it doesn't have to feel good, Jenny, but you got to do it. Okay, thanks. But it's true. I appreciate you guys all jumping in, and I'm looking forward to diving further. I'm looking forward to hearing about values. I hope that resonates with you and talking heads.
You guys can do it. I know it. And if you get stuck, you can message me, send me a message on Instagram. We're all following each other. We're all in the Facebook group now. And I will get together that hook list for you all. And if anyone, the hook list, and I had one other item for you.
Reels.
My contest. I'll send you a link to the contest too. You can see what it looks like. I got like 16,000 views or something on it, and it was very, very easy to do. So,
all right, guys.
thank you.
Happy Wednesday.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye,
great night.
guys. See you
Bye.
online.
Bye.